In these 2 weeks, we were free.
But Mr. Fauzan asked us to go to the museum. The first part of the museum is the front block, which opened up as the Raffles Library and Museum on 12 October 1887. It was designed by Henry McCallum and construction was undertaken by 2 Chinese contractors. In 1907, the addition of the parallel rear block doubled the size of the museum, which had by then become the premier museum in British Malaya. The library contained 30,000 volumes and the extensive museum collections concentrated on the Malayan region and included zoology, botany, geology, ethnology, and numismatics. In 1960, the library and the museum were separated and Raffles Museum was renamed the National Museum in 1969. In 1972, it was given a new mandate to devote itself to the history, art, and ethnology of Singapore. The zoological materials were transferred to the University of Singapore. In 1993, the museum became the Singapore History Museum, dedicated to the presentation of Singapore's history and heritage. In 2003, the building was closed for major renovations and development of an extensive block. A key architectural highlight of the extension building is the glass rotunda, a modern interpretation of the old rotunda dome in the historic building. It reopened in 2006 as the National Museum of Singapore.
The Singapore Stone is an important relic of our island's pre-colonial history. The museum's fragment is what remains of a large boulder that originally stood at the entrance of the Singapore River. The boulder was blown up in the 19th century, there were inscriptions on it, and scholars suspected it to be a variant of Old Sumatran script.
The Japanese style of these solid gold ornaments is a reminder that in the 14th century, Singapore was under the political and cultural influence of the Kingdom of Majapahit. The rings are set with diamonds, and these were found at Fort Canning Hill in 1928 by labourers excavating for a reservoir. The ornaments were lined just beneath the top of the pre-colonial soil strata, indicating their existence before the British arrived in 1819.
William Farquhar, who played a key role in the founding of modern Singapore in 1819, commissioned a collection of 477 natural history drawings when he was based in Malacca. They are records of the flora and fauna from the natural environment of Malacca and were taken by Farquhar to Singapore when he became resident of Singapore in 1819. The drawings are unique examples of the ways in which Farquhar's commissioned Chinese artists, trained in the Chinese painting tradition, grappled with and managed to produce a pictorial depiction of the natural environment according to their clients' taste. The drawings also convey the keen interest in the natural environment by men like Farquhar and Raffles, whose reputations were also built on collections such as this. Singapore started off as a fishing village where most inhabitants were coolies or fishermen. At the time, we were under the rule of the British colonial government, where Singapore was starting off as a prominent trading port for many nations. We were named to be an impregnable fortress in the eyes of the British.
However, everything changed when the Japanese invaded Malaya and Singapore. People suffered and were mistreated. Lives were lost. There was a shortage of food. Tune in as we cover more in detail in our visit to the Old Port Factory.
Hello. Okay, so basically when I come to National Museum, right, I first thought it would be a rundown place. See, but it looks so new. Oh my god! That's the one. Then number 2 is I always thought it'd be some ulu place, but if you see behind, it's actually SMU. Oh my god! Yeah, I never knew it was so in town. My place is ulu, but the museum is more in town than my home. Okay. So yeah, and I always thought you must pay for all this kind of exhibition, but actually no. Apparently for Singaporeans it's free, so I think it's to encourage more Singaporeans to come to a museum. Yeah, so I think it's actually a very good initiative to have free admission for Singaporeans so that we know about our own history. Yeah, so good job National Museum.